JazzCast Pros.
When I finally got to the point of wanting to finally have children, because I always told my family, and they pretty much knew, I was allergic to them. And
to kids?
Heck yeah. I was allergic to children before I had my own. I still am. You have to plan around pretty much everything once you become a parent, whether it's a mom or dad. And the one thing I feel as though I didn't do the best job at after the girls were born was planning for myself.
Being a parent isn't perfect, but we are going to talk about mental health and parenting, what that looks like, self-care. Of course, talk about the things that are real, the stuff that's happening, but at the same time, give you guys some insight and some tips. So moms, dads, aunties, uncles, big sisters, little sisters, brothers, join us. Welcome to Living the Front Seat Life. I'm your host, Kelly Marie, and I invite you to take this journey with me. We're going to be talking about all things mental health and emotional well-being. You see, I am a overcomer. If you are interested in figuring out the path for you to determine how and where you will drive your future, this is the place to be. We get to determine the ride. We may not get to determine the weather or who's on the road with us or if it's going to be a scenic route or not. But we are the drivers. So join me on this ride, living the front seat life. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Living the Front Seat Life. I am your host, Kelly Marie, and I have a guest with me today that I think I talked about in the very first episode, but we had so much going on with sports and mental health that our sports analyst kind of took over all of the guest feature spots, and so now we're here. I'm not talking about sports and mental health. I may still, but I feel like we've talked about it so much and I've neglected to talk about other topics. So if something big comes up, I'll always talk about it, but I want to make sure that we're covering all facets of mental health and especially in this case, that of a parent. So I have with me today our mental health mom, Vickie. How you doing, Vickie?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm pretty good. So it's taken us like 13 weeks to finally get you on the podcast.
I'm here.
And I see you every week. I see you're listening and you're commenting, and I appreciate you so much. I really do.
I enjoy everything you put out.
Well, thank you.
Even the sports
Tell people
stuff.
a little bit. You know what? The sports stuff was crazy because as much as I like sports, I'm not like a sports person. And I had to, of course, go and look at more stuff and read to make sure I had enough information. And that stuff is deep. Like each sport has its own mess that they have to wade through. So the fact that Robert is able to understand like 40 different sports and the regulations and the rules, and I don't even know how that is possible. But it lent so much to the conversation that I'm just appreciative. But we are not talking about sports anymore until we do. But mental health and parenthood. And I don't want it to say, motherhood, because I know that some fellas are listening. And I want moms to also be able to consider the life of the other parent. But tell folks a little bit about you.
About me. Well, I'm a native of Western New York. I was born and raised in the Western New York region. And I am a mom of twin girls, Madison and Mackenzie. And I consider myself a seasoned mom simply because of my age. I waited purpose to have children, and when I finally got to the point of wanting to finally have children, because I always told my family, and they pretty much knew, I was allergic to them. And
to kids?
Heck yeah. I was allergic to children before I had my own. I still am, but not my own.
Okay.
So my family, they teased me. So I waited. And when I finally got to the point where I said, okay, I'm getting a little bit too old for this, I found out that I most likely would not be able to have children. I started having difficulties conceiving, to the point where I was about to go on Clomid, which is a fertility drug. When I went for my appointment, to go on, they told me that I was pregnant. So I was already
What?
pregnant, but that pregnancy, it just didn't stay the test of time. Right after I told my family, it was a little shy of 12 weeks, you know, that 12-week rule to tell your family. I was at 8 weeks, and I miscarried at 8 weeks. And I made a decision that I wasn't going to be sad. You know, this was God's will, and I would just keep it moving. And I kept it moving, and I'm a Gemini, and you know, Geminis, we love to just have, we have two sides. So, in June, I celebrated my birthday with lots of wine and seafood and other things. And then, 4th of July, I went to a women's conference in Detroit, and I just didn't feel right. I just felt off. And I drove there, but I was really sleepy. I was like, dang, I feel pregnant, but I know I'm not because I took a pregnancy test and it said negative. So when I got to Detroit, I said, let me just take a pregnancy test. And so I did. And then I took another. And then I took another. I took 5 pregnancy tests and they were all positive. So I called the doctor and they said, nah, your HCGs are just from the last pregnancy. You're most likely not pregnant. I said, okay. So I went to the doctor and my HCGs were, I went like a week apart for 2 visits and they doubled. And they did confirm that I was pregnant. And on the second visit, they confirmed that I was having multiples. So here I am. And that's how my twins, I conceived the twins, I would say 3 weeks after I miscarried. So they are my miracle. They are our miracle babies. You know, their father, of course, was in shock. Of course, he was in more shock when he found out they were 2 girls. But we love them. They are truly a blessing to us.
That is an amazing story. And thank you for sharing, especially the trials part, like the tribulation, the heartache, the work that it took to get to the point of being able to carry your daughters to, well, now were they preemie? How, because I know a lot of folks that have twins end up having a premature birth.
Yes, they actually, you know, I was considered high risk just simply because of my age. I conceived the girls when I was 41. So that just put me in a higher risk category. Having multiples, being older in terms of having children, that we delivered actually right on time for twin births. Twins are delivered at 37 and a half weeks. I was scheduled for a Thursday when I went for my last checkup, and I remember the morning that I went to the doctor, I had a breakfast sandwich because I was starving before I went, and I went to the doctor, and that the night before I told their father, I was like, I don't feel right. And he was a volunteer fireman at the time, and he said, well, I just want to go in just one more night because I'm not going to be able to do it anymore for a while. So I said, okay. So then the next morning we went, and I was a centimeter dilated. So that's what I was feeling. And the doctor said, I'll see you at 1:30. I was like, huh? I was like, I have like a couple more days. And I hadn't done the mold of my belly or anything. So we rushed home. And I was like, I already ate breakfast. I was trying to push it off as much as I could. And he said, don't worry about it. Just don't eat anything else. And I came home and I hurried up and I did the mold of my belly. And I went on my way. And I delivered just 2 days shy of my original due date. And they're February babies, so it was cold, wintry. You know, that's how I delivered. So they weren't preemies. They were actually pretty they were pretty big for twins. They were 5'6" and 5'14" in size. So I was carrying, you know, a pretty good amount of
Yes.
babies.
Mine were, I don't really remember, but they were all at least 8 pounds and on the upper end of 8. But that's all I got. I don't know what else happened. I don't, yeah. Sorry, guys. That every mom doesn't remember all of the details. I'm one of those moms. They're
That's
here
okay.
and they're
That's
grown.
okay. They survived.
But even, the differences in, yes, every pregnancy is different, every parent is different. But I had my children early. So I had my first Aquila when I was 18, turning 19. And then Kadar, I had a year and a half later. And then Cameron, 2.5 years after that. I mean, I was done because my thought was have one, have them all. And then you don't have, then I'm good. And then I can enjoy my adult life, which I guess maybe I'm doing, Vickie. I'm trying. I'm trying to do the enjoying the adult life part. But a lot of folks, and being in, looking at social media and you see memes and posts and things like that and women talking about waiting or opting not to have children at all and the differences that people think the other person has. Like, oh, I wish I would have waited, or oh, I wish I would have had them earlier. Oh, I wish I'd have made a different decision. Very rarely do I hear in women, in this case, just accept who they are, where they are, and the decisions that they made. It's always like a grass is greener kind of thing. And I don't think that it is. I think it's just a decision that you make or the choices that you were given and what you did with those choices.
Yes.
Um,
I definitely agree. I made a conscious decision, and that's most likely, well, I know that it's based on my studies based in college were around human sexuality. So I made a conscious decision to control, um, using birth control, starting to have a family later because I knew, I couldn't afford them and I didn't want to have the stress of struggling being able to afford children. And to be honest with you, when I said I was allergic to kids, I really was. I did not have the patience. I was like, I do not have the patience for this. When my nieces, my nephews, not my nieces, my nephews would visit, I just didn't have the patience for it. So I knew I needed to wait until I was a little bit more mature. I had a job. I had several jobs, but I had a job that I traveled a lot. I was able to travel. I went to the Essence Festival, the Jazz Festival every year with friends. I enjoyed life. So I was able to experience a lot of things, and it was hard enough having my first baby, Jada Marie Dent, which was a Rottweiler pit, and she was my baby, and she's my first baby. But even traveling with her, I would make arrangements. So being a mom, if you want to test it out, get a puppy because
Listen, right? Because they stay babies forever.
yeah, yes, you have to take care of them. But I mean, it's different than having, kids, but I planned it out and there were many, many reasons why. And I'm here, and I made it, but it's not necessarily it's something that you have to continually still plan. You have to plan around pretty much everything once you become a parent, whether it's a mom or dad. There are things that you still need to plan for. And the one thing I feel as though I didn't do the best job at after the girls were born was planning for myself.
Mm. Okay, so talk about that.
Well, I before they were born, I would go up to White Oaks, it's a spa over in Canada, and I would get
Yes.
a full body sugar scrub, hot stone massage.
Mm-hmm.
I just, I would get my nails done. I go get my hair done every 2 weeks, and after I had the girls, I my focus was them. It didn't necessarily help that, things happen. When you have kids, and of course you're a little bit older, things happen. A week after I delivered them, I thought I was having a stroke. Um, the right side of my face drooped, and I just thought I was having a stroke. I was in pain. I went to the ER, and I had Bell's palsy. And it was extremely painful, which typically it isn't. So I had a sinus infection on top of Bell's palsy. So there were several things that came into play that it was just very hard having newborn twins. And thankfully my stepmom came here to Buffalo to help us for 3 weeks straight. And she was here with the girls when Eric took me to the ER. She stayed with the girls. But after that, it just seemed like everything. There's so many things, trying to, because I was breastfeeding, trying to breastfeed twins, and also having Bell's palsy and a sinus infection, but I still was pumping. I was able to breastfeed them until they were 11 months old. And I was determined to do so. I made a conscious decision, and I know a lot of moms talk about breastfeeding, and they either decide not to do it because they say it's too hard, or they give up because they're not producing or bringing down enough milk. I worked full time when I had the girls, and I said I was going to breastfeed them come hell or high water. you know, the doctors did tell me that I wasn't producing enough, but I said I'm giving them something because I knew the benefits. I knew it would help them. So even while I had the Bell's palsy and a lot of stuff going on, I started pumping because they wouldn't latch. So I pumped, and I continued to pump for 11 months. I even pumped on the Amtrak trains on the way to, to meetings for work. I was determined to pump, and I did. So, it's things happen, and it seemed like a lot happened to my body after having them. So I let other things go, whether it was, getting my nails done or my hair done. And I focused on them. I mean, it was a benefit to them because they're really well taken care of. But I wish, if in hindsight, I would go back and say I would have taken more time for myself. For example, I used to be an avid reader. I read all the time. And now I have a whole bunch of books because I keep buying the books, but I don't necessarily have the time to read them. So now I'm at the point where I'm making more time to read. So in that, I just ironically, my brother just came. He came and got an armoire that's been in my room for 16 years. It was my dad's armoire, and it was just too big. I wasn't using it the way I should have, and I decided that I wanted to make a reading nook in my room because I want to be able to read. Whether I listen to a book or pick up a book and read, I don't have a place to really do it. So I made a conscious decision to make a space in my room. So I'm in the process of doing that. It's not going to be done for quite some time, but I'm doing it. And before, I just kind of let the reading go, and now I have a whole bunch of books that I have to really catch up on.
You are, first of all, a damn superhero. Vickie, I don't know how you went through all of that and breastfed. And I know other moms are out there and you guys have. I am just blown away. I did not breastfeed any of my kids. The first one I tried and it didn't work. And then I became an equal opportunity parent. I'm like, well, if I didn't breastfeed the first one, I'm not going to give the other ones a leg up that, that the first one didn't have. I mean, that wouldn't be fair. So I mean,
It's okay. It's okay. Everyone, breastfeeding is not for everyone. And as long as the baby is healthy and they're getting, nourishment, it's okay. I had to supplement with formula as well, but I just wanted to be able to breastfeed them. And they gave me a free pump. I didn't even think that I would qualify for, WIC. And because I was off, a lot of people don't necessarily know to research and look at different things. And when your income goes down, to 50% when you're off, then I qualified for WIC, and I was able to get a free pump, a breast pump.
I do remember having a specialist come to the house, and because I really did want to breastfeed, and after a couple weeks, I'm not gonna lie, I couldn't do it. It could have been my 18-year-old self. It could have just been, I don't know that even today I would breastfeed. I think I would, but I don't have a uterus anymore, right? So it's out of the question. It's a non-issue for me right now, despite being 44. But I have friends that are having their first children, like they're just having children. Others are, having rainbow babies. They have adult children, and now they have this new life to take care of. And I'm just trying to take care of myself. I don't even know how that happens, let alone taking care of a whole nother person. But let me tell you, you are absolutely amazing. Like, I didn't know all of that. I don't think I knew 90% of your story. Just the fact that you were able to, I'm torn right now, because a part of me is like, man, you pushed through, you were resilient, you just, took on the world and said that you were going to make this happen, and you did. And then the other side of me is like, but what about, the you that you missed? And you touched on that. We are going through, especially being Black, being the strong Black woman and being resilient and being able to handle the weight of the world. And that is not necessary for human beings to do. And being, a Black woman doesn't mean that you have superhero genes. But at the same time, I have to commend you, man. You are a rock star.
Well, thank you. I don't feel like that. I feel like I just felt like a mom. Like, I just took care of the girls because I was responsible for them, to them, for bringing them into the world. And I felt as though it was time for me to sacrifice and make sure that they have a good life. However, I could do it. There were a lot of times that I was flying by the seat of my pants, but most of the time I have sisters, brother that had children, my mom's. I was fortunate enough to have a support system, and not everyone has a support system, in place. So having a good support system, and sometimes when you become parents, you want to do everything your way and say, block people out. Yes, you do have to have boundaries, and people will tell you things, but you get into your own routine as a parent and decide what's best for you. If you're a single parent, or if you're in a relationship with someone, or married, you make the decision of what works best. But I will say this: when having children, it is important to have a support system, whether you widen your net, and it doesn't necessarily have to be someone who's related to you. It could be a non-related person. You just have to be able to trust them, that they can come over possibly to assist you, so you can still be able to function. And there were times that I might have not felt like, or I wasn't able to function, but I did have the support of family. And I think that was a benefit of family and really good friends. And that was important to have, when raising the girls. And thank God that I had two of them, because I don't know what I would have done with just one, because they keep one another company. They're good for one another.
That makes a lot of sense. It does make a lot of sense.
It does make a lot of sense, because their father always says, can you imagine where we would be if we only had one? Because then it's like, it's more work for us.
Right.
We're a little bit more seasoned. I'll keep saying we're seasoned. So being seasoned parents, we may not necessarily have all the energy to run behind, two small ones. But when they have one another, they just keep one another entertained, and we're all good. We're fine.
That's awesome. I want to let folks know that you're going to be coming back, and I'm always super transparent, guys. So Right now, Jazzy and I are going back and forth between do we have seasons or do we not have seasons. So I don't know. This may be the start of season 2, Vickie. It may just be. But if this is the first episode of season 2, I think this is an awesome kickoff.
Oh, I got
and,
plenty more. I only told you 5%.
Listen, I can't wait. I can't wait. Especially
go get some popcorn, y'all.
the food. Wait, so give people your Instagram tag for Twin Moms.
Twin Mama Meals for You.
Yes.
And it's
she
the number
throws down.
Well, you know what? I know we're about to end, but the food thing, it's because I had to feed them. And I wanted them to eat. And I actually love to cook. It's a de-stressor for me. It doesn't help my thighs much. But it is a de-stressor for me to cook and see the smiles on their faces when they're eating the food that I make. So I just want to be able to make it easier for parents, for moms, for anyone to prepare, because it's not easy preparing meals or thinking about what your meal will be for your children. And one thing the girls do, they eat a lot of fruits, they eat a lot of vegetables, and it was easy for us to do that because guess what? That's what we gave them. So that's what they ate. That's what they eat now. And they ate it a lot as babies too. And trust me, when I was pregnant, all I ate was cheeseburgers and pizza and French fries. Because that's what I craved. I craved pizza and cheeseburgers constantly. But they came out and they love fruits and vegetables. And I cook a lot of fruits and vegetables. Everything. They eat clams. They eat seafood. They eat all that stuff.
Everything.
They eat everything. So
what is it again? It's Twin
Mama Meals for You.
And that's the number 4.
Number 4.
Twin Mama Meals for You. YOU or just you? Okay.
Yeah, the number 4 and just you. And sometimes I post recipes. Sometimes I just post pictures or just encouragement. I just, I'm there. It's not perfect because being a parent isn't perfect.
Right. And I think we'll end right there. Again, Vickie, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me. I look forward to our next 3 episodes.
I'm excited.
So am I.
I'm excited. So come back, you guys. It's going to be good. If you have questions, you can email me or you can put them down in the comments, whether you are listening on one of your favorite podcasting platforms or if you're over in Podbeam or the website. You can also email me at kellymarie@frontseatlife.com. We want to talk about what you want us to talk about, so you might as well tell us what you want us to talk about. But I want to give you some information in case you are in need. If you're in crisis or need someone to talk to, I want to give you the Suicide Prevention Hotline number. That's 1-800-273-TALK or 1-800-273-8255. Or you can text HOME to 741-741. Those numbers are confidential. They're free. They're open 24/7. So if you need help, they are available to you. Save the numbers in your phone. You never know. You might not need it, but you may need to call for a friend or family member. And if you're looking for resources, like human services, maybe you have questions about, senior services or being a caregiver or daycare, call 211. It's a national network. And you can do a keyword search if you go to 211 in your browser to get the information and resources that you need. So until the next time, folks, thank you, Vickie, and be the light.